It doesn't take too much time to really leave an impression on you. Through enough talent and hard work, you can create stories and establish characters in a short time frame. There's no better example of this in the Team Fortress 2 series, Meet the Team. Each video is a creative look into the lives and personality of each mercenary. However, one stands out as a drastic shift in both structure and tone. Coming in at just under 3 minutes, we have the bizarre short, Meet the Pyro. Okay, a little context. In 2007, Valve releases TF2 and it quickly becomes the most popular team-based shooter. To promote the game, the video Meet the Heavy was released with each mercenary slowly getting their own video. These were genuinely fantastic, and I'd go so far as to rank some of them as some of my favorite films of all time. The last video in the series was intentionally made to be Meet the Pyro. The Pyro has always been a mysterious character in the TF2 universe. Unlike every other mercenary, the Pyro has no nationality or identity to speak of. They always wear a mask, speak in mumbles, and they even have a very chaotic playstyle. TF2 houses a lot of eccentric characters, but even they're creeped out by the Pyro.
The world will thank me for this, you monster! Nobody's gonna miss you, you mutant!
So, with a 5-year-old mystery built up, Valve releases this video with something no one really expects. The film opens up with footage of the Pyro spliced together with interviews. Not much different compared to the other videos, except Pyro isn't the one giving these interviews, it's their teammates. And they don't really have anything flattering to say.
One shudders to imagine what inhuman thoughts lie behind that mask.
To understand the effectiveness of this opening, we have to understand who these characters are. Just based on his silhouette, you can tell this guy is pretty strong. He's the Heavy, and he's usually portrayed as being big and intimidating, yet...
I fear no man, but that thing... it scares me.
The Scout is the fastest of the mercenaries, but also the most arrogant. He's constantly full of himself and his own ability, and he walks out terrified.
He's not here, is he? How do I get this fucking thing off?
The Spy is one of the few level-headed and rational members of the team, yet he is equally mesmerized by who this character is. This intro uses these specific characters to build up the intimidating presence of the Pyro. This is done by juxtaposing how we normally see them versus how they react here. This intro would simply not be as effective if even one of these characters were swapped out. I also love how the footage of the Pyro is pretty much shot like a monster movie. We never really get to see their whole body. We start with a zoom-in shot of their boots, then an out-of-focus shot of the back of their head. You can hear faint sounds of their breathing coming out of their mask. This shot here focuses on their flamethrower, specifically that small light on the end. Such a small flame is going to cause a lot of chaos. All that's set up for this one shot, the Pyro burning down the whole base. It's framed perfectly to make them seem like some sort of demon from hell. Almost a whole minute has passed and we finally get to see the Pyro directly. So now we zoom into this maniac's head and... Okay, what the fuck? Believe it or not, there's actually quite a bit to unpack here. First, the music. During what is referred to as Pyroland, we hear Do You Believe in Magic by the Loving Spoonfuls, playing in the background. Of note is this phrase. It's actually a hint towards the Pyro's identity, that they may be a woman. This is something that's been alluded to in the games as well. The Pyro's movements have always seemed very feminine. They have a pink purse in their locker room, and I think the most damning of all are these domination quotes just outright calling them a girl.
Go home, lassie! Men are fighting here! Ha! You fight like a girl! Good lord, you fight like a woman!
Sorry, ma'am.
Now, this could just mean that the mercenaries haven't drank the respect women juice, however, they don't do this with anybody else. Everyone has their own set of unique insults hurled at them. The Heavy is fat, the Scout is short, The sniper is homeless?
It was a mercy killing. You live in a camper van.
While they may not be the most prevalent, these girl insults are unique to only the Pyro. Still not convinced? Well, take a look at this scene.
He's not here, is he? How do I get this fucking thing off?
The official transcript of this scene is, "He's not here, is she?" Valve is deliberately trying to mess with us, and I love it. Also,
does the scout say fuck?
Yes, the scout says fuck. Now, counter-argument to all of this is that the original song they wanted to use was Tiny Tim's cover of Living in the Sunlight. The point I want to make here is that details, no matter how small, have huge impacts behind them. Had they gone with Tiny Tim's version, we would not only have a different tone to these scenes, but we'd also be omitting a huge part of the Pyro mystery. I'm glad they went with the Loving Spoonful's version since it adds a whole new layer to this video, and I think the Tiny Tim version is just too closely associated with SpongeBob. So within their head, the Pyro interact with baby versions of the mercenaries, when in reality he's murdering them. The three victims include the Blue Heavy, the Scout, and the Medic, two of the classes which were part of the opening. The presentation of these kills is actually really interesting. The reason these kills leave such an impression is because they stand out compared to the rest of TF2. For the most part, TF2 is a silly game. Things like backstabs and headshots get this really funny and exaggerated reaction. Compare those to these really intense executions and you see why these shots are so memorable. For Christ's sakes, the Medic gets burned alive in a makeshift oven. Man, Medic mains can't have shit in this house. I also like how each shot gradually lingers longer to really drive home this idea. The illusion finally breaks with this really nice cut from Pyroland to reality. Everyone is dying, and the final shot is a close-up of the Pyro's face as he absolutely cooks the sniper. That already would have been a great ending, but the Team Fortress team decided, nah, that ain't enough. We end this insane short with the Pyro walking away in Pyroland. We zoom out through a chest wound, and then back to reality. This sort of cinematography actually reminds me of similar scenes from Citizen Kane, except it's actually cool and interesting. I'm glad as a society we have progressed past the need for Citizen Kane. As we continue, we see the burnt bodies of the engineer, the scout, an axe through the Heavy's head, and an axe through the sniper's hand. The last sounds we hear are the whistling of the Pyro as we slowly fade to black. Now that's how you end a damn short. It's funny to see the parallels of the beginning and the end. We quite literally saw the Pyro walk in, and then we see him walk out. Meet the Pyro is such a fascinatingly strange short. Really no other company would take the time to perfectly balance ominous and silly tones in a short about a mute character. Even the music here is very well composed. There's a level of care and personality within not just this, but the rest of the TF2 short films. Meet the Pyro also coincided with the release of Source Filmmaker to the public, allowing others to create their own films with just as much passion. Valve really made something special here. I love these shorts, I love this game, and when Valve returns, I hope they bring something just as hilariously bizarre, because there's no one else who can do it quite like them.